As we're speaking about prime ministers, let's head over to the European Union, where Justin Trudeau showed up there, and he was welcomed for his visit there at the EU Parliament as such. Check out some of these videos.
It would have been more appropriate for Mr. Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, to address this House according to Article 144, an article which was specifically designed to debate violations of human rights, democracy and the rule of law, which is clearly the case with Mr. Trudeau.
Premijeru Trudeau. Sloboda, pravo izbora, pravo na život i zdravlje, pravo na rad za mnoge od nas, to su temeljna ljudska prava za koje su milioni građana Europe i svijeta položili svoje živote. Za obranu naših prava i prava naše djece, koje smo stjecali stoljećima, mnogi od nas, uključujući i mene, spremni smo riskirati vlastitu slobodu i položiti vlastite živote. Nažalost, danas su među nama i oni koji gaze te temeljne vrijednosti. Kanada, nekada simbol modernog svijeta, je pod vodstvom vaše kvazi-liberalne čizme proteklih mjeseci postala simbol kršenja temeljnih ljudskih prava i građanskih sloboda. Gledali smo kako konjima gaze žene, kako samohranim roditeljima blokirate bankovne račune, da ne mogu platiti djeci školovanje, da ne mogu platiti lijekove, da ne mogu platiti račune za struju i vodu, da ne mogu platiti...
A prime minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy, should not be allowed to speak in this House at all. Mr. Trudeau, you are a disgrace for any democracy. Please spare us your presence. Thank you.
Za vas su to možda liberalne metode. Međutim, za mnoge građane svijeta to je diktatura najgore vrste. Budite uvjereni da građani svijeta, udruženi, mogu zaustaviti svaki režim koji želi uništiti slobodu građana, bilo bombama, bilo štetnim farmaceutskim proizvodima. Hvala.
When you brought the Young Global Leaders Program here for executive education and then the Schwab Fellows. But there are two countries in the world now in which the young global leaders have emerged. Tell us just a bit about that in terms of the governance.
Yes, actually, this notion to integrate young leaders is part of the World Economic Forum since many years. And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true in Argentina too. Wow. Yeah. Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now. Mm-hmm. I'm with the president, who is a young global leader. But what is important for me is those young global leaders have an opportunity to come here. And we, in addition to the young global leaders, we have now the global shapers in 450 cities around the world.
Diversity fosters new ideas. New ideas generate the experimentation needed to make the most of the fourth industrial revolution.
The measure of a society, of a just society, is not whether we stand up for people's rights when it's easy or popular to do so. It's whether we recognize rights when it's difficult, when it's unpopular. We are a society that stands up for people's rights, and when governments fail to respect people's rights, we all end up paying.
If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train beside vaccinated people and put them at risk. Stop!
Good morning, lights. Peaceful revolution, Father, absolute. Greetings, my dear beloved children. Today I would like to talk to you about the present situation on Earth. As you see, there has arrived the very crucial moment of the struggle between the light forces and dark on your planet that has already been mentioned in my messages more than once. At present, masks are flying not only off the heads of the leading countries of the world and their field employees, but off the people around you too. Each person on Earth, irrespective of their nationality, social and religious identity, has faced a dilemma: to allow themselves to be run by the ruling top and turn into a digital slave, or to stand up for their right for freedom in all its manifestations. Now no one can stay aside, since not only the destiny of the world is being decided this time, but of each person in particular too. Unfortunately, there is still a huge segment of the population that has not been able to understand till now what is actually going on. These are the people who get information from the mainstream media only. And if till now they have failed to see and feel all the falsity and hypocrisy of the authorities and the journalists who, executing their will, ruthlessly keep on misinterpreting and juggling with facts, then hardly anything will be able to make them change their opinion about the current events. Yet, the percentage of the people who are reviving is growing with every single day in geometrical progression. And to a large extent it happens due to the recent events in Canada. Why is it just this country that all of a sudden has become the locomotive in humanity's struggle for freedom? Of course, it is not by chance. Shortly before, no one of you could even imagine that the quietest, most peaceful, and law-abiding citizens would be able not just to rebel but to lead others' way as well. First of all, the situation that emerged in this country has become a glaring example of what results from the unmurmuring submission and following illegal instructions of the authorities, as odious as the government of Canada. Not only it failed to appreciate the exemplary behavior of its citizens, but have brought to the point of absurdity its incongruous demands that were based only on greed for money and thrill of their unlimited power over people. The second reason for the mass rebel of just Canadians was their exceptional peacefulness and friendliness. Thanks to their example, you could see that even to stand up for one's rights and freedoms is possible, being in the atmosphere of unity, love, and respect. If you had opportunity to get into the atmosphere reigning among the protesting people, you would be able to feel that it totally lacked aggression. And it cannot be overestimated, since in case of emergencies for the third dimension world people, it is typical to show excessive emotions that are hard to control for them. And these people behaved like pure and trusting children who did not doubt that their parents, who in this case their government members are for them, will hear them by all means and will meet their demands, so simple, logical, and humane. While the actions of Canadian authorities, these henchmen of globalists, set off so drastically the condition of these wonderful, kind and peaceful protesters that aroused shock in people all across the globe indeed. Now no one has any doubts about the way those at the helm treat common people and what their nation is for them. The major victory of Canadians became the display of an example to the whole world of the way to treat each other with love and care, supporting in dire straits those who, putting their welfare and even life at risk, took courage to protect the honor and dignity of the nation. In no country there have ever been protest actions so peaceful, pure, and light as in Canada. And even the aggressive, unprecedented actions undertaken by the government could not embitter these wonderful people who in response only got more united. It is protests like this that I meant when asked you to protect your rights insistently but with no aggression, showing love, unity, and respect to each other in everything. It is expression of popular will like this all over the world that will end with the victory of the light forces by all means, and it will occur in the shortest time. I bless you and love you immensely. Father Absolute spoke to you. Channeled by Marta.